Well met, my friends. Nexius here, bringing you guys the next PvP tuning notes coming tomorrow on Tuesday. So we have balance changes, Frost Mage changes, Holy Priest changes, Warlock changes. A lot of the changes, in my opinion, are very good. We'll have to see how it turns out tomorrow, but based off the paper here, it looks really good. It's nice to see targeted nerfs and buffs, not blanket buffs. Actually, some of them are blankets, but we'll get to that later. Some of the nerfs, though, are targeted, and I really like the way they've gone with it. So we'll start with the balanced Druid first, because, you know, they're very balanced currently. Of course, terrible pun there. A lot of players are not a fan of Boomkin right now. Boomkin Shaman basically goes with anything. Windwalker, Warlock, Mage, Shadow Priest, Rogue. You can pretty much play anything with Boomkin, even Resto Shaman right now. So it's one of the biggest complaints, and of course, the main specific complaint about Balanced Druid is that they have too much mitigation against melee and even to some extent casters. So what we see here are a list of nerfs to their mitigation. So armor's gone down by 10%. Bladed Feathers has been nerfed by 50%, going from 25% additional armor to 12.5%. Iron Feather Armor now grants 25% additional armor, down from 50%. So that's another 50% nerf to that ability. Celestial Guardian now grants 10% spell mitigation, down from 20%, which is another 50% nerf to that ability. And Moonkin Form grants 125% armor instead of 200%. Not a 50% nerf, but still a significant amount. So overall, Balanced Druid is losing a lot of mitigation, especially in regards to armor, which mostly affects melee players. So we can definitely see balance dropping off a lot when it comes to the meta. I don't know if this is too many changes at once and too significant changes. What I do know, though, is that Boomkin is losing a lot of mitigation against physical damage. I am a Windwalker, so I have physical damage. Most of my damage is physical, so that's pretty good news for me. What's not good news is that I currently queue with a Boomkin and Resto Shaman, so my comp is getting nerfed, which means I don't know if I'm going to get a queue again. It makes me sad, but, you know, if it's for the benefit of the game, can I complain? I mean, yeah, I'm going to complain, actually, because, you know, I barely get any queues. I want a queue, right? But I'm not going to complain, seriously, though. Objectively, they are good changes. For Restoration Druid, we have Intellect increased by 2% and Mastery increased by 20%. So Resto Druid right now is in a pretty bad spot, actually. Their hots are not doing so hot right now. They get out-damaged very easily, especially against like RMX or Boomkin and whatnot. They just don't do a whole lot. So Resto Druids right now are speccing Healing Touch, and they have to spam heal that way to keep up with the damage. And who's going to let you free cast Healing Touch forever? Nobody. You're eventually going to get polyed or kicked or something. So overall, Resto Druids did need some kind of buff, and hopefully this is enough. I'm going to guess it's not going to be, but we'll have to see how it turns out. Pretty great to see some Resto Druid buffs, though. For Frost Mage, we have two specific nerfs. Frigid Winds increasing chill effects by 10%, which is down from 15%. And the chill effect on abilities is reduced from 50% to 40%. So we have some small nerfs here to Mage slows. Again, this is a good targeted nerf because the biggest complaints towards Frost Mages is the amount of slows that they have. Or not the amount, but the potency of those slows. You can get slowed up to like 80% plus and you just can't move whatsoever. As a Windwalker, though, I have privilege and I can basically Transcendence transfer away. I can roll or Serpent Kick because those are not affected by slow effects. So if I get stuck in a frozen orb, I just roll out and I'm back to normal. I can Serpent Kick, I'm back to normal. I Transcendence. Oh, you're trying to frozen orb Ebon Bolt me? Yeah, you're so cool. Port away, everything's solved. So Windwalkers have a lot of solutions, but other melees such as DKs don't exactly have that. So it kind of sucks in that case. So I do think these are very welcoming changes. In regards to Holy Priest, we have some targeted changes as well. Ray of Hope's cooldown is being increased to 60 seconds, up from 45 seconds, and the Intellect is going down by 4%, and the Mastery is going down by 30% as well. And to top it off, the Heal Over Time effect of Renew now heals for an additional 75%, down from an additional 100%. So we have overall nerfs for Holy Priest here. I think a lot of them are good changes, like Ray of Hope. I think that's a very good change. I don't know about the other three. We'll have to see. I just know the top two complaints is their Greater Fade. That's a big complaint. Ray of Hope, I haven't really heard too much about Ray of Hope, but it's a good change in my opinion. It has a very short cooldown. It saves people so much, so I think that's a good change. The Intellect and Mastery, I don't know if that's a good change. The other complaint that I see all the time is that Holy Priest never loses mana, and I've seen this myself when I queue with a Resto Shaman. I do so much pressure with my Boomkin partner, and he just barely moves mana. So I don't know if these are good targeted changes. I know Ray of Hope is definitely a good change. I don't know about the other three. Maybe they are, but I think mana regeneration is another question, at least compared to other healers. Whether it's buffing the other healers or nerfing Holy Priest, I don't know. We'll have to see. In regards to the other classes here, we have Restoration Shaman. Riptide's heal is being increased by 15%, down from 30%, so there's a Riptide nerf there. Intellect is going down by 4%, so overall a healing potency nerf to Resto Shaman. Nothing targeted like Earth Shield or anything like that, so we'll have to see if this means anything in regards to tomorrow. Overall, did Resto Shaman need healing nerfs? I don't know. I'm not going to really comment on that. I don't really pay attention to Resto Shamans to be specific. I do only pay attention to the Earth Shield and Earthen Shield, but those were nerfed recently, so I'm not complaining about Resto Shamans right now. Riptide and Intellect, don't know if they're needed, don't know if they're bad or good, just going to point them out and not really say anything regarding that. Affliction Locks are receiving a 4% Intellect increase, so overall damage, and Destruction is receiving a 30% armor increase on the template and 5% to versatility. All I know is I don't see Warlocks too often. Not really entirely sure why. I don't pay attention to other classes usually in regards to their viability, their issues. I usually stick to Windwalker there. So I don't want to say too much in terms of my opinion. I just know that there are some specific issues like, you know, Ray of Hope had a short cooldown, Greater Fade's annoying as heck, but you know, basically that's really all I really cover. Mage Slows, pretty big deal as well. So some of them I am very well familiar with, but when it comes to locks, I don't queue into them often enough to give a solid opinion on their viability. So I'm just going to say, you know, they're getting buffed, they're getting nerfed. If they're good changes, if they're the specific changes they needed, you know, I'll leave that up to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this cover of the PvP tuning changes. Let me know what you think. My thoughts, no Windwalker changes equals good, because Windwalkers usually get nerfed, and as long as there are no changes, we are fine. We are good right now in PvP, so any changes, no thank you.